The mystery of the vanishing shadows. Darkness had fallen when I arrived at the outskirts of the quaint town of Wraithmoor, nestled at the foot of a steep cliff that was often shrouded in mist. Stories of inexplicable phenomena had lured me there, tales about resident shadows disappearing without a trace. I was a journalist and paranormal investigator, known for demystifying the unnatural. The tale of vanishing shadows, though, was unlike any other I had encountered. As I entered Wraithmoor, the cobblestone streets were eerily quiet. The local inn, the Dimming Lantern, was where I planned to stay. The innkeeper, a gruff, old man named Elijah, greeted me with a wary glance. As I handed him my credentials, his expression softened into a concerned grimace. "A word of advice," he said, leaning over the counter. "Respect their fears, for they're real. Shadows aren't just disappearing, they're being stolen." The next day, I began my investigation. Wraithmoor was a picturesque town with beautiful old buildings and a stunning natural backdrop. Yet the people walked with hunched shoulders, their faces drawn, eyes flicking nervously to the ground. The palpable fear intrigued me. It was as if their very souls were attached to these shadows, these echoes of light. The first incident had happened a month ago, at the town's annual summer fair. A jovial man named Harold had suddenly screamed, pointing at the ground. His shadow was gone. The townsfolk laughed it off, believing it to be a trick of the light or an odd prank. But then, it happened again and again. Each time, the victims were gripped with an intense chill before their shadow vanished. Panic spread as more shadows disappeared. A week into my investigation, I experienced it myself. Walking back to the inn from the town's library one evening, I felt an intense cold sensation crawling up my spine. I turned around, but nothing was there. I looked down, and to my horror, my shadow had vanished. A deep, primal fear gripped me, turning my blood to ice. I sprinted back to the inn. The following days were a torment. I felt exposed, vulnerable. My sleep was plagued with nightmares. Shadows, shapeless and monstrous, haunted my dreams, whispering promises of oblivion. The chilling sensation never left, as if I was standing perpetually in the shadow of an unseen specter. One night, a breakthrough occurred. A local woman, Margaret, claimed to see a ghostly figure on the cliff just before her shadow was stolen. I rushed there, armed with my equipment. The full moon painted the world in shades of silver and blue. As I neared the cliff's edge, the familiar icy sensation intensified. I turned on the infrared camera and pointed it towards the edge. Suddenly, a spectral figure appeared in the viewfinder, hovering over the edge of the cliff. Its form was amorphous, but in its core, I could see a swirling vortex of darkness, like a black hole absorbing all light. With a deep breath, I addressed the entity. "Why are you stealing our shadows?" A cold wind whipped around me, carrying a faint whisper. "Lost, mine, need, shadows?" Was this a tormented soul, desperate to reclaim what it had lost? I felt a pang of sympathy, but knew I couldn't let it continue. "But you're hurting us!" I pleaded. "You have to stop!" Silence. Then slowly, one by one, tendrils of darkness began to seep from the spectral figure, each finding its way back to its rightful owner, back to Wraithmoor, back to me. As the last shadow was returned, the figure faded away, leaving only the moonlight and the echo of its sorrow. Back in town, the residents were overjoyed, their fears relieved. I could see their shadows dancing on the cobblestones, a symbol of their reclaimed normalcy. As for me, I was changed. The experience had shaken me, reminding me of the unexplainable mysteries that lurked in the world's shadowy corners. As I left Wraithmoor, I couldn't help but glance back at the cliff, a poignant reminder of the vanishing shadows. There was a newfound respect for the ethereal, a silent acknowledgement of the mysteries we share our world with. The story of the vanishing shadows was no longer a tale of fear, but a story of understanding and coexistence with the unseen.